Hello everyone, this is my tutorial slash speed modeling video for the Hylian shield for my SAG 285 class. The tutorial is also part of my SAG 285 class. It's more of a speed modeling video because I pretty much crammed 4 hours of video into about 12 minutes. More like 10 actually, but either way. So I started with the reference images already there, and then I added a box, and I made edges on all sides. I think 4 on all sides, except for one to keep that edge clean, because that was a side edge anyways. That doesn't really have much detail to it other than just being rounded. And then I went in and created the outside extrusion along it with edges. And while trying to keep it clean, it was really difficult, and I ended up going back many times throughout the project just to clean up edges and make more quads rather than other random numbered polygons. I then selected all the polygons on the inside and did a negative bevel and tried to match it as much as I could with the reference image behind it. And I deleted the inside of it and brought the vertices over so it could work with the symmetry. And here I am just trying to shape it better. And then I do pretty much the same thing I did with the front, but on the back with the inner extrusion that they have there. And for this side I used extrusion rather than bevel because it looks like it's a lot more just straight in rather than at an angle. I went around just reshaping for a bit and trying to make stuff a little cleaner. And then for the detail, at first I was going to make it so the detail just extruded right off of the base shield, but I realized that was stupid. So instead, I end up just taking it off and making it its own object. I do that later though, but I still think it was worth setting it up like this because then I can just remove those polygons and I'll already have the shape, and then I just put it right back and it'll be at the right angle that it's supposed to be at. But first I do the Triforce by just symbol just by selecting the polygons, dragging it out so I have the right angle, and then shaping it to be as much of that as possible, adding vertice in the middle so I can delete that part. And at first I was trying to make the whole triangle a quad, but I realized that was dumb because once I beveled it, it would turn everything into a quad except for the top part, and I ended up just making those quads instead. Then I changed the color to yellow just for fun, and to know what what it's supposed to kind of look like. Same reason why I changed the shield to blue. And then fixed some edges, and then did the exact same thing I did with the Triforce, except for with the decal, but it was already formed. So all I had to do was add a line through the middle, 2 lines on the edges, so that when I pull the line in the middle out, it would not mess the entire thing up. And just drag it right back and use more symmetry. Then I decided to model the little triangle details, holes. And I just did a negative bevel on the inside. And thanks to symmetry, I only had to do it 1.5 times rather than 3 times for the top. And then here's the triangle that was on the corner instead. It's the exact same thing, just different spot. Using the reference image as much as I could to match it. And when I'm messing with vertices like that, I try to keep the phase restraint on so it doesn't mess up the model very much. And then I'm making the little screws or whatever they're called on the outside, and I do this like 4 or 5 times. So it's just making an octagon and then doing a bevel, but not too much, so when the open subdiv is on, it'll just kind of turn into like half a sphere shape. Then here I am for the back, like middle handle. For this part, I decided to make it so I'll do a negative extrusion, like a hole, where I could put the handle in. And here I'm just taking out like a copy of those right now. And in reality, I probably should have just placed it against the shield, because that's how it would probably be made to begin with, since it has like the screws like that. But I think this ended up looking okay anyways. I had swift loops in the middle, because that's where I'm going to have the strap come out. And I use symmetry again. And then at this point I realized I made a mistake. And when I dragged out like the roundness of the front of the shield, I did it for the back too. But I didn't realize that the back kind of stayed a lot more flat than the front did. So it's not a constant width throughout the entire thing. So right now I'm just connecting the strap, and I'm wondering whether I should actually go through and edit it, but I end up going through with it. This is a mistake I probably should have realized sooner, and the end product would have looked a lot better if I would have caught it, but I didn't want to start over, so what I end up doing is just going through the entire back and kind of pulling out the vertices some at a time to make it so it's a better shape. It probably would have been smarter to do something with scaling here rather than moving it, but I didn't think of it at the time. But the end product would have looked a lot better if I didn't make that mistake, but it's not much I can do about it now. So I just go through and try to make it look as nice as I possibly could, given the circumstance. More screws, as I said, like 5 times. Do it like 5 times or so throughout the video. And then here's how I made the side handle. I was gonna try to do the same technique where it'll keep the angle, but I realized that was kind of dumb. So what I end up doing is just making a regular cylinder and pulling that out and shaping that. Because if I do that, then all I have to do is flatten the part that, like flatten on the y-axis, the part of the shield that I'm going to make that touch. So I ended up having to just start over here. And I just made a couple copies of that, so I could just add them all together. I ended up putting those at 45-degree angles, and then just target welding from the part that touches the shield to the other part. And then I just reshaped it a little to make it look less strange. I was just checking what the open subdiv would make it look like, and obviously way too round, but I knew I would add crease sets later. So here I am flattening the part of the shield that's gonna touch, like making it so it's straight up on the y-axis, because it's pretty close to that anyways, and then just dragging out the vertices to make it touch. And then I recolor some stuff again just to know what it's supposed to look like. Then here I am adding open subdivs and crease sets. For the details on the front, I pretty much just selected the entire thing and added a crease set to the entire thing, so I don't even know if it was worth actually smoothing, but I did it anyways. And then this is just adding a crease set to the rest of the hard edges on the shield itself, like the shield body itself. Really time consuming, but you know, it ended up working better than I thought it would. For the sharper edges, I probably should have made it so it was a separate part, like the end part, like the blue part and the metal part of the shield. But it ended up working better than I expected it to anyway, so it's fine. And I do the exact same thing with the edges on the middle handle. And I only, for the strap part, I only did the outside edges to make it so it was like a nice round but flat shape. Then here I am doing a UVW map of the inside of the shield to add this red symbol to it and the blue color, and then I color the rest of it just gray to make it look similar to silver. Then add it to the thing. The image is way bigger than it needs to be because when you're viewing it in like the viewfinder here, it looks like it's very pixely on the outside where it's supposed to be touching the edge. But in reality, when you actually render it, it looks a lot better. So here I am adding leather material and coloring it brown to the strap. And then for the other ones, I just used everything else I used standard materials for, and then tried to match it with the color that I used for the outside of the shield. So here I am going into paint.net that I used and trying to look at the numbers for the color to match it. And this is just a basic background where you make a right angle and then fillet it. And I just colored it white and I tried to center it as much as I could. Then I end up going back because I don't like how the color looks for the detail because I don't think it matches the outside well enough. But so I just messed with it for a little bit. And then here I am rendering the picture, and here's the final product. I think it ended up looking okay, at least. One thing I wish I could have done is made it look more metal, but I couldn't figure out how to make the texture map look metal. So, like, I could have made all the details and the handles look metal, but I didn't know how to do that with the texture map, so it would have looked strange. So it looks kind of plasticky, but I still think, like, the actual shape and everything turned out pretty well. And here's the back, just because that first image you can't really see the details I made on the back. Either way, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Hope you weren't too bored, at least.